Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Profile Matters. Hi guys, it's your host Cameron. No, I did not fall off the face of the earth, and no, I did not fall into a volcano. Regardless of what the papers might say. No, I do apologize. I know it has been far too long since I've been gone. But I did mention that in the last episode that we would probably take a break. And we did, and we had holiday stuff, me and Dr. Knighting and Kathy's she's been so busy, and she was out of state for a while anyways, as it was, and I've had a lot of medical stuff going on, and I had to take some time to make sure I got better, and I'm feeling 10 times better now, so I am ready to jump forward, and it is right after January, and it's starting back up into the wonderful month of February, which for you guys who love February and Valentines Day, I've got an interesting episode I'm going to be doing about Lover's Lanes. Lover's Lane is a very, the legends of Lover's Lane, and I'm going to go into a couple different things, kind of like the movie The Town That Dreaded Sundown, where you go park and there's escaped mental patient with the hook for a hand, or somebody running around with a gun who tries to kill people, things like that, Lover's Lane type stuff. So there's a particular case that's always been something I've wanted to cover and go over, and I'm definitely going to cover it. But yes, so that's neither here nor there. That'll be the next episode. So I do just want to say again, I apologize that we were gone for so long, but expect the episodes to at least be once a month again now. I am going to be working on another podcast show as well. I'll tell you more about that towards the end of the episode also. That doesn't mean Profile Matters is going away or anything like that. It's just I've got a second podcast that's going to be starting up. And I think a lot of you guys are going to be interested in that one as well. So anywho, I'm going to go ahead and introduce who we're having on the show tonight. And I wish that I could go over her resume, and I'm looking at it right now, and I'm remembering it's about 5 pages long. So I think it's impossible for me to really go through it without cutting into about at least 15 to 20 minutes of me explaining who she is. But I will hit the top ones, okay? Her name is Dr. Wendy L Patrick. She's the author of Red Flags. If you guys have not read this book or listened to it on audiobook, you need to. It is amazing. It's a great tool. You can use it in your daily life. How to spot frenemies, underminers, and ruthless people. Awesome book. And I listened to it on audiobook as well. She's got a lovely voice, so either way, you're going to learn a lot, and it's a great tool to use. So she's a career trial attorney also, and she was recognized by her peers as one of the top 10 criminal attorneys in San Diego. She was named Public Lawyer of the Year by California State Bar Public Law Section. She has completed over 160 trials ranging from hate crimes, domestic violence, to first-degree murder. Her current assignment is in the Special Operations Division, where she handles, sensitive issues, even including threat assessment. She's a president of the Association of Threat Assessment Professionals, the ATAP in San Diego chapter. She's also she also served as the co-chair of the statewide California District Attorneys Association for Sexual Violent Predators Committee and Human Trafficking Committee, which is something I'm really passionate about that as well, as far as being against human trafficking, any kind of sexual predators, domestic violence, things like that. She does all sorts of stuff. She speaks to groups. She's a professor. I even have heard and listened that she is in a rock orchestra band, and she plays a violin in the rock orchestra group. So she has got the resume that just puts most others to shame. I will not lie about that. And it was such an amazing opportunity to be able to kind of get her on the show just for a few minutes to ask her a couple questions, because she is a very busy woman. And if you guys get a chance and you don't know who she is, look her up, Wendy L Patrick. And I promise you will not be disappointed. Her resume is just amazing. Definitely check out those books, though. I promise you. We're going to talk a little bit about the book, in here about a couple of questions that me and Dr. Niding did have. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and step away, and we're going to go ahead and slice this thing open and start poking around, and I'll be right back, and we'll get this thing going. All right, guys.
Okay, so we are back here with Wendy L Patrick, and we're going to jump right on in. So, Dr. Patrick, you talked about the dark triad in your book, Red Flags. So, can you expound on that?
Absolutely. Well, if you look at the research, the dark triad involves three dark personality traits: psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism. And those three traits have many things in common. But ironically and quite dangerously, one of them is those three personalities can look good. The narcissist can look good and be very charming, particularly in social settings. The psychopath looks good because he or she is very able to read the feelings of others and respond accordingly when it's just done with absolutely no moral compass. And then the Machiavellianist is very manipulative, very emotionally cold. Yet all three of these personality traits are not limited to those with low IQs, bad jobs, low credibility. They can actually be found in the upper echelons of society, both social, political, financial. There is no picking them out of a crowd, and that's one of the reasons they are flying red flags that often fly right under the radar because they're eclipsed by their more positive traits.
Okay, so I've also read about the dark triad as being made up of sadistic, antisocial, and borderline. You didn't mention the borderline personality disorder in your book, but that was from a book called Evil Genes by Barbara Oakley. So regarding the red flag system, have you ever thought of including borderline personality profile?
Yeah, in fact, let me go a little bit further on that. Okay. Yes, so you have these three personality traits. When you use the word borderline, let me say it a different way. There are many individuals in society that do not fit the clinical portrait of any of those personality characteristics, those disorders, let's call them, but they have traits of one or more of them. For example, there are lots of people walking around that have psychopathic traits, but they would not qualify clinically if they were evaluated to see if they were a full-blown psychopath. Same thing with narcissism. I mean, we can think of somebody that displays narcissistic traits, but doesn't necessarily have the full-blown disorder. You know, this has become particularly relevant when we have these horrific mass shootings and mass killings, and you have this analysis of the perpetrator, and you hear people talk about things like malignant narcissism, pathological psychopathy. People are sort of using terms that aren't terms of art medically, but are just used to say, you know, we don't know whether or not this person would be diagnosed, and you can't do a remote diagnosis, especially people that are suicidal, and they're not even here. Right. But you look back, you look for red flags in retrospect, and you see signs that they may have had at least parts of this disorder manifest, especially in the days and weeks leading up to their perpetration of the crime.
Well, yeah, they are tricky. So I think that, Cameron, you had some questions. I don't want to take up all of the time here.
All right, okay then. So my question is regarding the flag system. Are there any precautionary warnings you'd like to offer those using the flag system? For instance, you know, any generalizations or judgments to avoid?
Yeah, sure. So the flag system is the precautionary warning, and in terms of using it, one of the tips I would give is make sure you look at all four areas of focus, lifestyle, association, and goals. The reason for that is, let's just take association, because we all like to pick on the young people. Oh, show me your son's friends. I'll show you his future, and birds of a feather, guilty by association. I mean, the puns and the list goes on. However, we've got to look at more than that. It is so easy to say, I'm going to judge somebody upon the company they keep, to the exclusion of looking at the other three. So, too, with focus. Sometimes you get people, and I always like to say attention reveals intention, but simply looking at what captures someone's attention doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means until you look at their lifestyle, their associations, their goals. So somebody can fail the flag test by maybe having a terrible traits that you can discern in one of those areas, but to really get a full picture of the person behind the persona, you have to look at all four.
Okay, so my next question kind of branches off of the flag system as well. So the question is, how do you feel this system will help in criminal investigations or law enforcement procedures?
Well, you know, behavioral profiling has been around forever, and there are many people that are very, very good at it, but the flag system goes deeper than simply looking and listening, because let's face it, anybody can dress the part, anybody can act the part. For so long, when you learn more about someone, this is time-lapse photography, you watch them over time, you use a wide-angle lens, as I like to see, you look at them in different contexts, and over time, a picture begins to emerge where you begin to notice more about what they really are below the surface. So the flag system ideally is used after the first impression, because everybody can give a first impression, and they have a tougher time making it last over time in terms of pretending to be someone they're not. And sometimes this gets to be an issue both on and offline, because as we all know, for whatever reason, people seem to let their hair down, be more transparent online than anywhere else. Great case in point here is each time we have a mass shooting or a mass tragedy, one of the first places we look is a digital footprint to find out who this person was, what they were interested in, why they did it. We want to know ideology. We want to know what kind of a glamorized lifestyle they believed in. And that is a great place to look to read the flags as well, sometimes in combination with what you see offline, to get the fullest picture you can before you're able to make a judgment about somebody else.
Great. So I just want to say that this book has been such a great tool, and is a great tool for anybody to use in their daily life. Like for me, I use this because I work at a corporate environment.
Oh, that is terrific. It's really great to hear, and one of the chapters that I hope you liked if you work in that type of an environment is Chapter 3, Perceiving is Believing, the Comfort of Credibility, really talking about how people with dark personalities are able to infiltrate the highest levels of business because they are charming, they are endearing, they have the attractive traits that they use to ingratiate themselves with unsuspecting bosses, colleagues, and even subordinates.
Oh yes, so very true. Well, you know, I actually didn't read the book per se, but I did listen to it.
Oh, the audiobook, terrific.
Yes, you actually sound exactly the same as you do on the audiobook.
Great.
Yes, so thank you so much for that. So Dr. Knighting does have a few more questions for you.
So I wanted to ask you about body language. I know that you studied it during trials because you can see the specific things in body language that can really help.
Well, you know, I often talk about counterintuition. This is when the optics don't match the topics. Your body language doesn't match your words. It's the mannerisms contradicting the message. It is a huge red flag because most likely the body language is true and the words are not. And this happens even with the most polished speakers. This type of a visual verbal mismatch triggers distrust. It would be as if you saw a newscaster on TV describing a horrible tragedy with a smile. We look excited. It is, our antenna goes up. We find it threatening, and as you can imagine, we greatly dislike someone that presents us with that type of a contrast. So yes, it's the consistency that creates credibility, and you may have heard the example that's often cited about a genuine authentic smile involves the whole face. It's the eyes, the lovely crow's feet around the eyes. You gotta love those because they are signaling authenticity. You often hear people say the psychopath smiles without his or her eyes. It's simply a forced smile. It's fake. It's phony. And whether subliminally or intentionally, we tend to distrust somebody who provides us with that type of a contradiction.
Oh, okay. So thanks. My next question is, are you planning on writing another book? Because this one was really awesome.
Never say never. Never say never. That's my answer. I think about it, and if the opportunity comes up and the right topic presents itself, I think that I would. Very rewarding.
So about how long would you say it took you to write this book? I ask because I myself am writing a book, and for right now, it's taken forever.
Well, there's always publisher deadlines, so you put the deadlines in front of you and you strategize time blocks. Before then, you try to get it in early, sooner rather than later. But they really write, you're able to write quickly if it's something that you're passionate about, and that was the case for this.
Awesome. So thanks for that great advice. So I'm going to pass you back to Cameron.
So my last question is this. So you're a career attorney, a professor, author, and I even hear you play the violin in a rock orchestra band too. How on earth do you find time to do it all?
By the grace of God is the answer. That pretty much sums it up. By the power of the Lord, because sometimes I read through that resume and think, how do I have the energy to keep up this lifestyle? But it's the labor of love.
That's so very true. So you are very, very talented. Your book has been such an inspiration to us and has just helped us open our eyes. Thank you so much for that.
I just wanted to say.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say. You've made my day. Thank you very much.
Yes, seriously, I am such a big fan.
Aw, thank you so much. You guys have made my day.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. I'll let you know when this episode is up and edited and everything. Thank you so much again. Really appreciate it.
Okay, great. It was lovely talking to you. God bless you both.
Have a great night.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
So that ends our episode with Wendy L Patrick. We are here at CG Counseling and Consulting, and thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Wow, so fascinating episode, right? You got to learn so much. I am such a big fan of her because I'm just like, how on earth do you have time to do all that stuff? Like, that just freaks me out. It's incredible. I love it. I think it's really incredible that she can do all that stuff and still, save the world one case at a time. And that's what she's doing. She's doing the Lord's work. So she's definitely a great woman. And awesome is her voice is so. She's got the sweetest voice. So I'm telling you, imagining her up on the stand, tearing somebody apart up on the stand, I cannot imagine. I would pay to see that because I'm telling you, she's definitely a jack of all trades, and that's a Jacqueline of all trades. There you go. And I think that is just incredible. I'd love to see her definitely doing it because it's just completely contrary to how, when she talks, she's so informative and so sweet sounding. It's incredible to think that she is a force to be reckoned with. And I like that. So I want to go ahead and wrap up the episode by telling you guys a couple of little tidbits of information and everything. Next episode, we're either going to cover... I think we're going to do 2 episodes in February, so you guys might be kind of lucky there. I'm definitely going to cover an episode about Lover's Lane. The myths behind Lover's Lane, because there were a lot of that's happens a lot of killings happen at Lover's Lane type scenarios. The Town That Dread the Sun, the Phantom Killer. Of course, the you always hear about the myth, the hook, where the couple's making out in the car and then they drive over. They hear about they hear a sound and then they kind of stop and they go, oh, what was that? And then they go back to making out, and then they hear like a scratching sound. Like, what is that? And then the girl starts freaking out. She's like, oh, let's get out of here. Well, on their way back, they hear about a story about an escaped mental patient. It's either before or after they're driving back. They hear the story about the escaped mental patient. I can never remember that part. Who had a hook for a hand. And they pull in at a diner or whatever, or drive-through. And when they get out of the car, he gets out of the car and he freaks out, and she screams, and she sees there's a hook there attached to the door handle. He was there and he was about to get them. So you always hear about that too, and that started as if I recall, that started as a Dear Abby thing where somebody was asking about I can't remember how it went, but it was a story of Dear Abby, like a long time ago, years and years ago. They used to do those ads in the paper, and it was something like that. And I think it kind of progressed from there. And then, of course, with the murders happening for the Phantom Killer killing couples in their car with a handgun and stuff, it happened. That happened a long time ago. It kind of sprawled into that. And then, of course, there's always Zodiac Killer. He killed couples that were in the cars and stuff. So we'll definitely cover an episode about that, because there's a lot of that around that's happened. So definitely want to go into that. And definitely going to go into, we'll probably do this as a two-parter, because there's definitely a case that I want to bring up and talk about, because it's something that's always haunted me to my core, and it's the Valentines Day killings that happened out here in North Carolina and Durham many years ago. And something that's always just stuck with me and haunted me. And I have tried to make it my mission to research more about the crime and try to get in contact with family members, to interview, and to just to find out more, to do anything I could do to try to help solve the case. And unfortunately, it's very difficult. They didn't have there's not a whole lot of forensic evidence. Without anybody, committing to doing DNA testing, and everybody being so old, and a lot of people being deceased, including family members, it's one of those cases that's probably going to remain cold, and it's very, very sad, very sad. But we'll switch topics over from less sad into some good news. I am starting up a new podcast, which I was talking about. Profile Matters isn't going anywhere. It's staying right where it is. This new podcast, though, is going to cover, it's going to be called Legends and Lore. So just like the name, it's going to cover legends and lore. Just like we were talking about with the Lover's Lane thing. But this podcast is going to cover monsters, myths, everything from wendigos and zombies and ghosts to elves, gnomes, and dragons, and oh man, I can't. There's so many different things. I mean, genies. I'd like to cover everything that you can possibly imagine. Like on Supernatural, they have the lore books and they go through everything. It's the same thing. What we'll go over. What's really great is I'll be able to reach out and talk to experts who cover, who know a lot about that phenomenon. So we'll definitely go into that. So I think that's pretty cool. And I hope you guys are gonna like that episode. And that'll probably, or not episode, but that podcast. And that's probably gonna happen sometime. And I would like for it to be in April to start up. I think that would be really cool. My co-host for that show, Eileen, is going to be doing some fact finding and some research herself first before we jump into it. I believe our first episode is going to cover the Wendigo, a Native American cannibalistic spirit. Know a lot about the Wendigo. Have like 5 books here at the house that I've read about Wendigo. Seen all movies that they have pertaining to Wendigos. I'm very big into Native American culture, so I have a very, very, very strong respect for Native American culture. And this is one of those stories that it's very interesting to me, but it's also very scary. Just because of there is an actual syndrome called Wendigo syndrome. I actually think we might cover that in one of the episodes of Profile Matters with Dr. Nighting. Would be interesting. But yeah, so definitely going to start that up. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you guys are listening to us, as much as you can. If you guys want to listen to us directly, you guys can go to profilematters.podbean. Podbean, podbean.com, Podbean, profilematters.podbean.com. You can listen to us straight off of there. All the episodes are on there as well. And if you guys aren't, you guys can check out Facebook. I'll put the links and stuff on Facebook as well. And then, of course, there's always more on our website, profilematters.wordpress.com. Always check there. We'll have updates and everything like that. All the podcast stuff will be on there. Definitely, if you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know. Reach out, ask questions, please. Comment on the episodes. I want to know what you guys think about the episodes. If you guys think I'm too long-winded, if I have a weird voice, if there's something I can do to make it more enjoyable for you. We need more music, less talking, more action sounds, like something, anything. You want Kathy in more episodes, less of me. Like, you just tell me what you guys want, and I will make it happen. So please, definitely reach out to us and let us know. And there's a contact page on our main website, and there's always comment sections that you guys can comment on Podbean as well. So, but anywho, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because I'm starting to ramble. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you guys learned a lot. Again, thank you so much for being fans and listeners of Profile Matters. You guys are what's keeping this show running. So please keep on listening, keep on commenting, and I will keep on doing them. So thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you guys or talk to you guys next time on Profile Matters. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye.